Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of Two Geeks and One Noob, where we gather friends of similar interests and maybe not so similar and discuss, joke, learn more about, and generally have fun with geek culture. Sorry, I lost my breath a little there, but still getting used to that intro. So this week we are continuing our conversation about Spider-Man, Spooderman, yeah. Which the new movie No Way Home just came out not too long ago. We're talking about Spider-Man again. What do you guys think? What did you guys think of the new movie?
And this one will contain spoilers, so heads up there, but
yes, so just like driving downtown, spoiler alert.
We did wait until after we had all three seen the movie so that we could discuss it. So we're excited to be able to sit down and talk about it now.
Mm-hmm. And I actually paid money to see it.
Hey, good job.
You didn't sneak in this time. I'm proud.
I never sneak into a theater.
He sneaks out of the theater.
That, sadly, yes, I used to do a lot.
We won't talk about that date night for David, but we will talk about Spider-Man. So,
no, that one he got kicked out of.
Oh, fair. Well played. Well played, both of you. Damn.
A little bit of the razzle dazzle before we jump into Spider-Man.
Yeah. It's the two geeks making fun of the noob. So.
Yeah.
So, David, what did you think? What did you think of Spider-Man No Way Home?
I was thoroughly impressed, actually.
Woohoo! We won!
I wouldn't go that far. I enjoyed this installment.
Did you end up watching the other two beforehand, or?
I actually did not. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But I did realize I was wrong. I did watch the first Tom Holland one when it came out.
Okay. All right. So you watched Homecoming.
Right.
Okay. Good to know. So.
And I mean, really what you need to know from the second one is touched on at the start of No Way Home. So, it's good to know, the backstory and, what led to that point. But, the really key thing you are already aware of in the first 30 seconds of the movie, pretty much. So,
So in case you don't know, the second one, because you didn't see the second one, you wouldn't know that Mysterio was the bad guy in...
yeah, it was played by Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yes, it was played by Jake. He was played by Jake Gyllenhaal, and
which he did a fantastic job with.
I thought he did
an
awesome job.
He did a very good job with it.
So at the end of Spider-Man 2, Far From Home, I was trying to think of the name. Mysterio ends up dying, but he sends out a video of saying that... Sorry.
He kind of played the martyr, so to speak, because he had tricked Tom Holland's characters into giving him the drones the Stark Tech drones during the movie. And at the end of the movie, he realized that he was kind of stuck and he wasn't going to win this fight. So he knew... going into it, he's like, I would rather play the martyr because that's how I'll be remembered. I can kind of use this to my advantage.
It was almost like a failsafe of sorts.
Yeah, basically. And so he recorded the false footage and then had his team do fancy editing to twist the wording of what Tom Holland was saying in the conversation with Mysterio. So it made it seem like he was trying to kill Mysterio and other people.
And then he reveals
who he is.
His identity as Peter Parker.
Mm-hmm. It's the very hilarious 1.5-minute segment of just nothing but the word dude.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude!
Dudes!
Yep.
I found that pretty funny. But
it was funny. It was funny.
But so yeah, any other thoughts of that though?
So I think I kind of said it last time of how I can appreciate Tobey Maguire as more of the Sunday morning style Spider-Man, but he was actually a pretty decent Spider-Man regardless.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Andrew Garfield was probably a better Peter Parker.
Okay.
And I can't remember which of y'all said it, where Holland kind of drives down the middle, and he's an excellent job at both. He nails both.
Yeah, because Tom Holland does more of the quirky, like fun-loving kind of Spider-Man, but also the nerdy, like smart kid.
Yeah,
that's still going through high school, you know, but then also like really kills it as Spider-Man in the fight scenes and the swinging around and again doing his own stunts.
Yep.
At least mostly.
I have a side note on that one, but it is probably going to be better suited for later on in the conversation.
Okay. All right.
Spoilers for what's to come.
Spoilers on the spoiler. So even more like the Subaru Club downtown.
Yes. By the way, San Antonio. For anybody who's listening outside of San Antonio.
Oh, no. I'm pretty sure there's at least one of those Subaru drivers in every town.
Well, yeah, I'm sure. But we are from San Antonio. I don't think we've ever said that. So
why'd you spoil it?
So yeah, any other questions about Spider-Man and the movie or anything like that?
So there's a scene where all three of them, I'm pretty sure it was right at the end whenever they're prepping for the final battle on the Statue of Liberty.
Mm-hmm.
Where all three are joking, or half joking and trying to get to know each other, which is really just getting to know themselves, which is, such an asinine concept.
It's multiverse, man.
Anyway, better than other verses being thrown around lately. Anyway, sorry for our listening audience. I'm very opinionated on many topics, sadly.
He does hide it well, as you've probably heard.
Anyway,
we'll see how
again.
well
This is only our second episode, so
yeah, we'll see how well sarcasm translates over recording.
Here's hoping. Anyway, so there's this scene where all three Spider-Man, whatever,
yeah,
all three Peters are talking to each other about like what is the weirdest villain they've had to fight.
Mm-hmm.
And Garfield mentions Mad Russian in a robot suit.
Yes.
And if memory served, it wasn't just Mad Russian in a robot suit. Eventually, he did get kind of entwined with it, didn't he?
That is comic book, yes. In that movie version of the character, no. It was just basically a rhino mech that he was controlling on the inside.
Okay. Which
is like the actual person in the comic books had some superpowers and was kind of like experimented on that gained the like rhino exoskeleton that he couldn't remove, but he still had a lot of that like brute strength and everything. So that skeleton, I guess it also depends on like the version of the character that we're looking at. Like the Spider-Man games, it was like an actual suit of armor that they were trying to figure out how to remove from him. Whereas the 90s comics was just a really big dude in a rhino suit.
Yeah, which was funny because back then it didn't look like a mech suit at all. It was like very much skin and
it was basically just like a superhero costume that was made to look like a rhino. So it's like
basically it was somebody cosplaying Harambe if Harambe was a rhino.
Yeah, and so it does depend a little bit on the version of the character we're talking about. The one in the Andrew Garfield movie did not become entwined with it and didn't have any powers. He was just essentially a thug that got this big rhino mech and used that to try and fight Spider-Man.
Which I'm pretty sure he got from Norman Osborn.
I think so.
Because at the end of which one was it? 1 or 2? It was 2.
Well, I think he was introduced at the end of 1, and then 2 was where
right. Yeah,
because he was. It was an after credit scene where they kind of walk through a gallery of the Sinister Six costumes, like the Doc Ock arms, the Vulture wings.
Shocker.
Was that
Shocker?
Shocker. I don't think they had Shocker on there yet.
Okay.
Because those are just gauntlets, so
yeah.
They didn't really have anything to show.
And also, he wasn't in it until the second one, anyhow.
Right.
Well, that was Electro that was in the second one, not Shocker.
Oh, you're right. Okay.
Shocker, like Dan said, was the guy that just was like a suit with the shock gauntlets. He didn't really have any powers per se.
Right. Okay.
Whereas Electro was actual like.
Shocker was in Homecoming. He was the one that worked for Vulture.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
Okay.
they made the gauntlets out of the alien technology.
That's right.
That's
Okay.
right.
I forgot
Okay.
about that.
Yep.
Been a while since I've seen that one, so it slipped my mind.
It's all good. It's all good. Yeah, because
That Michael
he was
Christian as
saying,
Vulture.
I'm the shocker, and then later on, Spider-Man goes, honestly, I'm shocked.
It does make me wonder what other villains they're going to use to bring this in. Like, were any other villains able to like slip through during the warp and potentially got stuck there, even though they like quote unquote fixed it?
That is
Or-
actually exactly why I brought that up.
Is that what the question you were talking about earlier?
Yeah. Did y'all notice that during the final warp, everything's being set right? Did y'all notice the silhouettes of the dust in the background of the warp?
I know there was some. I didn't quite get a close-up look of it.
One of them was a pretty clear silhouette of Rhino within
And-
the warp.
Yeah.
Was it?
And it
Yes.
wasn't like the like weird mechanical Rhino. It looked like the like true to comic Rhino.
Okay.
It
All right.
looked like a dude with a giant rhino horn.
Yeah.
Nice.
And
I did
And
not.
then the
get a
other
chance to see
one
that.
was Scorpion.
Mm-hmm.
Which I know Scorpion is in this universe.
Yeah. And
Because
that's an exciting one that they can bring in, and I really hope they do, because I don't feel like that character gets the love. Like, I get that, like,
no.
technically he would be kind of one of the more minor villains compared to a lot of the other ones.
I think he
but-
could be pretty deadly though.
Yeah. Oh, I
yeah.
agree 100%. My only question is, based on that end credit scene, are they going to do any more of those, like, Sinister Six villains, or are they going to start diving into that symbiote stuff?
Mm.
That's another thing I want to touch on is, I'm sorry, with the end credit scene from Venom 2, that was a disappointment.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And, like,
It was funny, but it was a disappointment.
When
Sorry
they were
to cut you
doing the
off.
fix thing, I figured they would fix the, like, everyone knows Peter Parker, but I didn't think that they would actually, like, pull everybody out of the universe like they did. So it's like, I feel like they're probably going to do some, like, the multiverse is very much a thing. That's not going anywhere. We know that. So are they going to do a crossover with the Tom Hardy Venom at some point in a separate movie? Is it going to be like somehow the symbiote is like his bridge to this universe, and so he's able to kind of bounce back and forth? Because they already teased at the end of Let There Be Carnage that the symbiote is a hive mind.
Right.
And so does this symbiote have the ability to connect to the hive mind of this universe? Are they like separated? Like, there's a lot of unknown with
Yeah.
that.
Okay, one, I will freely admit, I did not think about that until you brought it up. I see where you're going, but the other thought that immediately comes to mind, Spider-Man's trying to, or Peter, Tom Holland's Peter, just to differentiate, is trying to prove yet again to Mary Jane and to Ned who he is.
Mm-hmm.
That he's someone that they were friends. Now, granted, I don't blame him, but he wussed out.
I don't know if it's necessarily that he wussed out as much as he saw her injured and saw that she and Ned looked happy in that moment, and they like got their
True.
college acceptance letters despite like all of the
All the
issues
crap
that they were
that they went
having
through throughout
initially.
the
So
rest of
it's
it, yeah.
like I feel like he was just kind of weighing his options. Like, okay, like,
That's fair.
is this really something I want to like bring them back into? As much as I want to tell them and get those friendships back, is this a world that I want them to be part of?
That's fair.
That's
Yeah.
also one of the things I saw online, that it was a comment on one of the stories, was like how this may be how Ned becomes Hobgoblin, is because he didn't have the friendship of Peter Parker and by extension Spider-Man, obviously.
Wait.
And that's my thinking
What?
too. So Ned Leeds in the comic book is Hobgoblin. And I think they kind of teased that when he said, "I'll never leave you, like I've always got your back," during No Way Home. It's like, we're always friends. I'm never going to turn on you like their friends did. It's like, planting the seeds.
Yeah,
I see what
yeah,
you
because
guys
he
are-
was like, "Yeah, I would never turn my back on you.
Yeah.
I'd never become is this my villain story?" Or like,
Yeah.
I think he ended up saying that as well.
At the same time, are they going to go full on Hobgoblin, or are they going to use like his magic abilities that they teased in this one?
That's a very
They
good
could go
question.
either way with that.
Yeah,
Because
I mean, like if and they do seem like they're at least keeping like the characters who are like that specific character somewhat consistent. They're changing up the powers with a lot of them.
Mhm.
Like we've seen that with several other characters throughout the Marvel universe, but they're at least keeping like Ned Leeds as Ned Leeds. Period.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I did not know anything about Ned Leeds' character before Homecoming. So that is one part of Spider-Man I didn't
Same.
have anything to do with.
I had to,
obviously, I'm in the same boat.
Right. So it's hard for me to tell where they're going to go with it, but I've seen stories online about how he could become and what he might look like as and stuff like that. So it's just like it's a very interesting storyline, and also with it being how he doesn't know who Peter Parker is, how quickly that could turn, because he could have been bullied, he could have been just part of something that was just away from the Spider-Man character.
It seems like the natural story progression is that they're going to be in college now, and so potentially maybe they can set up like this romance feud where like Ned actually has a crush on MJ, but then Peter's at the college with them and kind of like interfering, like that romantic rival, so to speak.
Yeah.
And
just like Harry in the originals.
And looking at the actor Jacob Batalon, he's commented multiple times on how he's been exercising and trying to get in shape for the future of his character.
Yeah.
And he's been very coy about that. And it's possible that he doesn't know the full story of it as well. But the fact that he's commented on that multiple times, and he has lost weight, he's definitely put in some serious work. So good on him for that.
Absolutely.
Yep.
But he's definitely put in the work and like losing weight and to like get to where he wants to be for that character, where he potentially was asked to be for the character. So
yeah,
definitely seems like there's going to be something there.
It could be some backdoor talks that they're having with him. That's like, these are things that you need to prepare for and things like that. So that's definitely a possibility, and I'm all there for it. So excuse me.
It does seem like that's the direction they're heading with him, which I don't know if they'll try and do that in the next movie or if they'll at least just start planting the seeds for it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what they did in this one, just do like the slow build, which would be the smart way to go, because after No Way Home, sure, you could try to up the ante and bring in a ton of villains again, but there's only so many times you can go back to that well and get that same payout for one. And two, there's only so many times that you can do that and do it very well, where it makes sense with the characters and that you're not like skipping out on developing or at least building a story for everyone like you want to.
Yeah.
One of the things I was going to say earlier when we were talking about the multiverse thing was I'm curious if they're going to go with instead of it being a multiverse where they're going with Doctor Strange, if it's going to end up merging as one universe, just like I don't know exactly how that might work, just because of how many characters you get.
It does raise a lot of
merged.
questions. I feel like they'll try and keep it separate and do something similar to what the DC CW universe was doing, where they had like the multiple Earths crisis, and they were able to kind of bounce back and forth and do what they needed to do via technology. And I feel like either using Doctor Strange's magic or technology or whatever, they may go with something similar, because if they just do the merging, then it's going to be like, okay, well, you've merged multiple universes. First off, how does the universe survive having done that? Because it almost exploded once because of that.
Right.
Two, where are all these characters that have been merged? They're not going to just disappear.
Yeah.
But leaving it to where it's like you can kind of bounce back and forth when you need to does leave the door open for them to bring in other characters. We've already seen a little bit of that with WandaVision, and then bringing in the different version of Pietro.
Yeah, exactly.
Which,
although he wasn't actually Pietro.
I think that was just a clever
We'll
casting nod.
I think
yes.
we're going to get there, because they've been teasing the multiverse for so long, I would be amazed if they're not heading that direction.
Yeah.
And that actor, I'm blanking on his name at the moment, but he's been very clear that he wants to keep going. He has a lot of fun with that character. So.
Oh yeah,
Jonathan something. I think it was.
I used to watch American Horror Story back in the day, and it was a staple of it. But yeah, anyway, 2 points on that though. One, I've completely forgotten, so I'll skip to the second until the other one comes back. So two,
Evan Peters.
Was it
Evan Peters?
And that's
Peters,
it.
That's right.
Oh, that was it. One, and this is somewhat cynical of me. I think part of the reason why they're bringing in the multiverse now in the MCU is so that they can have multiple versions of Spider-Man. Because so often you see crowds go nuts over one specific Spider-Man. And again, this is more my cynical take, and so there's a lot I'm not saying. So I think it's a way to appease those fans.
I have a separate theory. I think it's because now that Marvel's Disney has the rights back for X-Men and Fantastic Four and these other characters, they're using this multiverse storyline to bring in these characters, because currently the only X-Men, quote unquote, that they have within this universe is Wanda, and they don't even call her an X-Man or a mutant. They what was it? That was, do you remember?
It was an enhanced.
Yes. So like that gives them that excuse to be able to like bring it in. And as they're like toying with it, and it's like, oh well, like, are you a mutant? And it's like, no, what's a mutant? And so I think that's the route they're going, because it also introduces the other X-Men so that they can kind of play around with that angle and use these different characters. But again, it also does, I think, leave the door open so that they can bring in those Spider-Men, to your point.
Okay. And actually, you hit on the other point I'd forgotten earlier. Which is, I think this is the first time we've seen a merger of properties, of IPs, since Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, you have Warner Brothers, Fox, Hanna-Barbera, old school animation studio, which they're still around. I think they're owned by Warner Brothers now. But anyway, point being,
what do they not own?
yeah. But it seems
everything
like
Disney owns.
Fair. It's fair.
Sad but true. But I think Disney's going about it in the backwards way. They're doing it more like the 90s, early 2000s Microsoft way of, hey, congratulations, you're Disney now, and bring it in that way.
Yeah.
But now I'm hoping they're bringing it in to such a large scale that they're going to extend that olive branch to other studios, saying, hey, y'all want to play?
Well, technically, at least within the Marvel scope, Sony's the only other studio that has rights outside of Disney. So, like, they don't really have that same issue that, like, what they were running into with Roger Rabbit and trying to, like, bring in multiple studios to play nice, basically. This one, they're just like, okay, there's no reason for Sony to give up Spider-Man, because that was one of, if not the most profitable movie ever. So, like, they have no reason to ever get rid of that. And Venom is doing really well for them as well. Yeah. Venom is doing really well for them also. So it's like, okay, well, we won't give up the Spider-Man IP. We'll play nice with Disney because it's freaking Disney. So, like, we'll let you use our toys, but at the end of the day, our toys come home with us.
Yeah.
Whereas now, again, with Disney owning the rights to the X-Men and with Fantastic Four, it opens up that door. Now, the question is, with the multiverse setup, are they going to redo the origin of the Fantastic Four, or are they just going to use that multiverse to bring in other actors?
With what I'm hearing about what they're trying to do, at least in Doctor Strange, at least what I've heard, I don't have any confirmation at all, is they're trying to bring in, like, the Illuminati.
Which would make sense.
Which would be Mr. Fantastic.
That's going to be tricky
Xavier,
without Iron Man, though.
Unless they make that part of the Illuminati storyline of, well, we lost one.
Yeah.
Well, like, because the Illuminati hasn't been founded at this point. And so to bring in this universe, yes, but you can't just bring people from multiple universes. Like, we even saw that with this movie. It was like, I was part of the Avengers. They're like, great. What is that? And so we can't really expect there to be an Illuminati in every other universe but this one.
But then also the other things I'm hearing about Doctor Strange is that they may be bringing in other characters that are the same character. Like, Caleb, I'm sorry I'm going to say this, and I know you're going to be disappointed. But what one of the things I've heard is that they're bringing in Tom Cruise to play Tony Stark.
I'm not watching it. I'm just straight up not gonna watch it. Like,
you're not gonna watch Doctor Strange?
That's
I
another
won't
reason
watch
for me to not
an
watch a
Iron
Marvel
Man movie.
Oh no,
starring
I don't think they're
Tom
making a.
Cruise.
I don't think they're making a Tom Cruise Iron Man like movie. I think they're bringing in a multiverse version of Tony Stark. I don't think they'll keep him.
I hope that is pure rumor, and
I
not
hope so
truth,
too.
Because
Honestly,
first off, you can't replace Robert Downey Jr.
no,
period.
not at all.
He is Iron Man, as he said at the end of the first movie. But also, I don't see why bringing in another Iron Man from a different universe, even if it's only temporary, would really benefit the story. Like, Iron Man's death was such a pivotal thing because it was that impactful for that many people.
Yeah.
And so leaving it as it is and kind of saying like Tony Stark is the honorary honorary member of the Illuminati, even though he's not here anymore, he's kind of like the inspiration behind why we put this together.
Right.
I think that would be more impactful and a much better storyline than bringing in discount Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm getting some very serious DC vibes that I want to bring into this conversation now.
Save the DC vibes for the DC convo.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, this is all just things I'm hearing. It may not be true. It may be true. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I think it would be interesting in the fact that there are things that they've put out there as like the 90s version of the Avengers if it had been made in the 90s of like, you know, Tom Cruise as Tony Stark, Brad Pitt as Thor or Captain America, I'm sorry. You know, people like that they would have cast as these people, which I totally agree that a lot of these people would have been cast. Not that they would have been good, but they would have been cast.
I mean, we get to see a return of Brendan Fraser.
Possibly. They
multiverse with Nick Cage's Ghost Rider.
Actually, I think Nick Cage. No, Nick Cage wasn't. I can't remember exactly what it was, but
it sounded like you were about to say he turns down a role. I'm like, think about who you're talking about.
No, but they did have Keanu Reeves as Doctor Strange.
That could track.
I think that would track.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, but like they had a whole list of them, and I would love.
But then
to
we
go.
would also see Wesley Snipes' Blade again.
Well,
they've already.
So long as it's
They've
like
already
one or two,
done
we're good.
something to introduce the new Blade.
They did?
Yeah, because isn't it?
It's they don't show him on camera, but it's something teased at the end of the Eternals post-credit scene.
Oh, which I haven't seen. So okay.
Blade.
Yeah, Blade's a Marvel property.
His voice. He's the one that
Was
talked.
it?
Yeah.
Oh, talking to the Black Knight.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, yeah,
I did not know that. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know about it either. A friend of mine like dove in and did a lot of research after that, seeing the movie the first time, and kind of like told us about it. So
yeah,
y'all are gonna have to show this to me later.
Yeah, but like circling back to the Spider-Man conversation.
Oh yeah,
bit of a
we're talking
trail.
about Spider-Man. I forgot about that.
Bit of a rabbit trail there. Something I'm really curious about is so with the way that that Doctor Strange did the spell, he removed the memory of Peter Parker from everyone that knew Peter Parker. And so what does that mean for the Avengers? Because he was such a key part and he was set up to be the next, like the leader of the Avengers, so to speak, after everyone else stepped down. And like he was such a key part in Endgame and whatnot. So it's like, was he just removed from memory of the Endgame events? Do they remember that Spider-Man was there? They just don't know who he was. Do they remember someone was there, but they have no idea who?
That kind of goes back to what I was trying to point out earlier after you made the reveal of no, like the symbiote being stuck. Are they going to go with the symbiote storyline now? And how does the hive mind thing work now that you have a symbiote from another part of the multiverse here? I'm wondering if they're going to use that symbiote, that Venom, as a means of pointing out, like, you don't know who this is?
Mm-hmm.
He's the one who brought me here.
Yeah.
And he'll end up being showing himself as both villain and good guy. or at least anti-hero as he is.
Mhm.
Well, I feel like
kind of
this
bringing
Venom is
Peter
going to
back.
start off as a villain.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's lost.
Because
He's confused. He doesn't have Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
That, and it's like just the way
Other
that
cop.
seeing Venom's reaction in that post-credit scene was like, this guy, and looked like he just wanted to instantly eat him.
Mhm.
And it's like, okay, he didn't come there for the warm fuzzies. He came there to fight.
Yeah. So, kind of back to your question was, I've heard also some other things, more so just comments on threads that it may have just affected Earth, and Nick Fury was off-world, Thor was off-world.
I think Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel,
yeah.
and of course the Guardians of the Galaxy were all
Right.
off-world as well.
So they may still know who he is.
it's true.
Also, there was something, I don't know what it was, but they were saying something about Hulk not being affected by it.
I will say I don't buy into that, simply because in the first Doctor Strange movie, it's very clear that any spell he casts, it has far-reaching consequences.
That does
Universal,
make sense.
though?
And he
Yes.
did say, well, I mean, he was saying that like the very fabric of reality was being affected by the spell breaking apart.
Right.
And so like if it's affecting the fabric of reality itself, chances are it's not just limited to Earth. And he didn't say those of us on Earth will not remember. He said no one will remember you.
Yeah. But then there was also another thing where they said that Wong, before he left, said, "Leave me out of this." And Doctor Strange said, or he agreed to that. So Wong might be the one who remembers as well.
If he was able to cast something in there to like help Wong remember, and it could
That
be
I
that
buy.
it could be that like Wong may be able to kind of redo the spell or do an additional spell with that to bring back in the memory of Peter Parker for those that like knew him within the Avengers. But it's like, just quick side note, would have been so much easier had he just said make the spell so that everyone forgets what Mysterio said. Done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
that's a plot point there.
Would have been
But
a much
again,
shorter
it's-
movie had he
yeah.
done that. But
Even not doing that tracks with the original. You did know you could peel that, right?
yeah,
Right.
Instead of going for the spell first.
yeah,
I'm sorry. I love that little bit of right. It's like
that back and forth.
you just
yeah.
concretely solidified Tom Holland as no. He's a high schooler.
Yeah.
Mm.
It was they did it well. It's like it's also on Stephen Strange for doing it the way he did too. It's like he should have sat down and had a very detailed conversation of like, this is what this spell entails.
Yeah.
And if we mess this up,
He's a doctor, for pity's sake. He should know what informed consent is.
it's like, and if we mess this up, a whole lot can go wrong. And there's a reason why Wong was like, leave me out of this. I don't know about it. And he had to be secretive. Like, sit down and have a conversation with him. He's a kid. Sure, he may have like helped save the universe, but he's still a freaking kid.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Definitely very interesting dynamics there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. It's like maybe like certain people like Thor and Wong and Hulk weren't affected by the spell in some way. Or he may have just like been able to create a caveat where certain individuals were not affected. And like, who knows, like with how powerful Wanda is, she may not have even been affected by it too.
actually-
yeah, that's true.
That's an interesting point you bring up, because I remember when our MCU was first starting, one of the frequent phrases being thrown around was, "Did you see the character die?"
Mhm.
Right. Yeah.
We didn't see all of Strange casting the final spell.
Yeah, so there's could be like all kinds of clauses that he threw in there because he was modifying the spell throughout the first iteration. And it's like, okay, well, I'll let MJ remember who you are. Okay, fine, Ned. Okay, you're Aunt, and you messed it up. Everyone's gonna die.
Yeah.
So like, who knows what kind of stuff he like, or like caveats he threw in there, and he may have like even made it to where he can remember as well. But he's just like playing that secretive, like I have to play along with this to like because he thinks everyone forgot. But if need be, I can call on him. And again, it also could come down to like Wanda just being like, "You have no power here. I don't care."
Gotta love that chaos magic.
Yup.
Yeah. Another note I wanted to bring up was what it took for the producers and the casting agents to get the original actors back.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I was thrilled to see Albert Molina in the trailer.
Yeah.
And to see him perform with the same styling, attitude, accent, everything was spot on to what I remember from Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was glorious.
Well, all of the actors did such a good job with just recreating that character. The only difference I would argue was Sandman, and that was just because he was in his sand form the entire time.
Yeah.
He didn't revert back to his human form. And granted, who knows? He may not have the ability to do so in this universe.
Yep.
And so, like, that could be part of it, because even Electro said, "Oh, this electricity is different. I like this feeling. Like,
Yeah.
this is great." So,
Yeah, because the different energies in that particular universe are very vastly different.
Yeah.
Well, it also ties back to an earlier. It was an offhanded comment in, I want to say, Age of Ultron, where Tony was toying around with the idea of making a nuclear power reactor, similar to how Jeff Bridges' character, help me out,
Ego.
no,
Eli.
Ego was Guardians.
wasn't it Eli?
Wait, Jeff Bridges' character.
In the first Iron Man.
In the first. Oh, I'm sorry. Obadiah Stane.
That's
Obadiah
it.
Stane, that's
Stane. But even Stane tried it, but kept commenting in the first one, like, "Oh, we need Tony because he's the one who figured this out in Afghanistan in a cave
with scraps.
with a bunch of scraps." Yeah. Sorry, that was a crappy imitation. Anyway.
Well, and like they also teased that clean energy with the Stark Tower
Oh yeah.
at the I think it was the first Avengers that was right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where he had where he gave Pepper 12% of the credit.
Yep.
12%. Such a Tony Stark.
Oh yeah,
to do.
of course.
Yeah. But I mean, similar to what we've seen everything else from Tony, there's been a point. And it's not to make him this omniscient character, but it's more of the fact of he is planning ahead and he is thinking further on down the line, not just as an Avenger, but also as a businessman.
Yeah.
Where he's trying to manage both, where he's trying to run this company that was his father's legacy, and then he's also his, but he's also trying to run this side persona of, well, crap, now I've come out as both here, so
Yeah.
well, here we go. And he's trying to manage both with the same precision. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if that comment was referring back to that was that Age of Ultron? Whatever, whichever Avengers film it was, where Tony's joking about the idea of setting this up on a wider scale, of making this clean, renewable energy. Cool. Awesome.
I think they talked about that in the first Avengers.
Yeah,
After he set up the towers, like, this is just the first step. This is something that
That
we
might have
could
been
work
it.
towards.
Yeah, it was Avengers 1. Yeah.
Okay then. Yeah. In which
The
case,
second one he was talking about setting up a suit of armor around the world.
Yes.
that was it. The Dyson Sphere thing. Yep.
But it was the first one he was talking about the energy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
One thing I just thought of as you were talking about that though was how that actually helped him relate to Spider-Man.
Yep.
Because it was that duality of being the businessman and being the superhero, and Spider-Man trying to balance his life between high school and life and being a superhero as well.
Which now it makes it now that you bring that up, it makes you realize just how poetic it is that this all happens right after Tony dies.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Because Tony outed himself in the beginning, at the tail end of Iron Man, like, oh no, I am Iron Man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no secret identity with Tony. It was, I am Tony Stark, multi-billionaire or multi-millionaire playboy philanthropist, not at the time, and superhero.
Yeah.
And now Peter has been thrown to the wolves as this kid is Spider-Man.
Yeah.
This high school kid is Spider-Man. He's being thrown to the wolves, and his mentor, who has been exactly there is not there to teach him those lessons.
And it's also like that contrast of Tony doing it himself, saying, I am Iron Man, come at me. And then Spider-Man like having no say in it. It just gets leaked on without his permission. And he's just stuck like trying to figure out, oh crap, like how do I handle this? This is so different.
Yep.
Yeah. And as a high school kid, not being able to do it very well is, you can understand why he would go to Doctor Strange and be like, no, can you undo this?
Well, there's so many reasons, like the college issues that they were all running into, and the like everyone's security, and like them not even being able to stay in their own home, and like it was just their life was completely turned upside down because of one lie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Stupid Mysterio.
Stupid Jake Gyllenhaal.
Something like one question for you guys: how did you enjoy a certain little cameo of a certain lawyer character?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I love the fact because it means we get to see Punisher,
Daredevil.
John Bernthal again reprising the role.
If they bring him in, like I have a hunch that they may be a little hesitant to bring in the Punisher because he is a little different than the usual Disney take on things. So
that's why I want him in it.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely want to see him in there, and they couldn't have chosen a better actor for the character.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But with them bringing the Daredevil character in, and how it seems like they're going with some of the Marvel stuff these days with Moon Knight and Doctor Strange and all that.
And they did actually have
surprised if they bring in Punisher.
And they did actually have that quote unquote sex scene in Eternals.
Right.
It was a very dialed down Disney version of a sex scene, but it was still there. It was still a thing.
Yeah. So I mean, they're definitely bringing in some stuff that wouldn't normally be in a Marvel film.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be so disappointed in them bringing in some of that more brutal.
I think it's needed, and granted, like there could be that potential of bringing in the Punisher character and making him officially canon in Deadpool 3.
Oh yeah.
Because they've already said that they're going to do a Deadpool 3. They've already confirmed that it will be rated R to keep in line with what everything else has been for the Deadpool movies. So it would be totally in character for Deadpool or for Punisher to show up and be like, "No, I'm hunting him. He's my target." And Deadpool's like, "Get in line."
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I do think it would be hilarious if they did a movie with all the red suited characters.
Deadpool's just in the
Deadpool,
background.
Spider-Man, Scarlet Witch.
It's almost like they ran out of colors for the suits.
At least Spider-Man was red, white, and blue, though.
Yeah.
Daredevil is red and black.
Back to getting the original actors back, though.
Yes.
I don't know if y'all saw this. So I looked it up after watching it. Yes, I was just curious of what else has, or what was the take of, in particular, Albert Molina and Willem Dafoe in reprising their roles from over a decade and a half ago.
Oh, yeah.
Both of them loved it.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Apparently. However, interesting note I want to hit on. It to me is something that needs to be known far and wide because badass move. Willem Dafoe made a stipulation outside of pay. I do my own stunts.
Oh, really?
That man is 60 plus.
Oh, man. That is crazy.
He took one hell of a beating for us to enjoy that movie. Because
he did.
Holy crap.
There was like, I love just the contrast in their styles, like Spider-Man trying to be like agile and bouncing around, and then Green Goblin just be like, "Nah, I'm a suplex you now."
Yep.
Yeah, just even that scene where they're in that hallway of that building. And
that's like, exactly the scene.
Spider-Man just wailing on him,
yep.
And then just like Green Goblin's like, okay, explosion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
I see your punch and raise a boom.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the things I did want to touch on as well was I was reading a lot about how the two Spider-Man actors came back, and one of the things that gave... No, you're good. that Andrew Garfield came back for was that one scene. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
Oh.
The one scene where he catches MJ.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And it's being such a redeemable moment for him that
Like,
he was just like, I'm hooked. I'm in.
Storytelling wise, it just makes sense because he, like, you could tell he just wasn't himself almost the entire movie, and the death of the woman he loved weighing so heavily on him that, like, that was just his goal, is like, I cannot let that happen again, ever.
Yeah.
And that being such a heavy focus for him that it got to the point when he did save her, just that emotion that hit him. And it's just like seeing the look on his face, like, I finally did it. I saved the girl. It may not be my girl, but I saved her.
I saved Spider-Man's girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And just the couple of scenes where he had his emotional moments of just like, you could see the emotion just building up and like crying because of the darkness that was in him.
Yeah.
Because of Gwen Stacy dying.
Yeah.
It was just like,
it came across as not even acting, like that was Andrew Garfield just being genuine and feeling that true emotion of,
because
like,
he never got to redeem himself after that movie, and it was just like, oh, finally.
Yeah. And I think that was just kind of a cathartic release for everybody, not just him and him as an actor, but also him as a character.
Yeah.
But just generally the audience in general.
Like, just hearing the, like, emotion from the people in the audience through the theater in that moment is just that, like, oh, he got her. He finally got her. It's just, oh, man.
Yeah.
I'm actually getting chills just thinking about that scene right now.
Thinking about that scene and then remembering just the emotional response from everyone in the theater.
Yeah.
Like,
See, I didn't get that in the screening I went to.
Really?
Did not get that.
We got the claps and everything.
yeah,
like,
I think it helped too.
as
It's
in
like
audience.
went like,
Yeah.
we were like within the first week of the movie, and whereas you were a little bit later, and so by that time, like, the genuine, like, I love Spider-Man fans had seen it, and like the other people that are still Marvel fans but may not be as big of fans, they were getting around to it
Or
about the time.
neither.
Or
also,
neither.
also possible, yes.
Again, friends of similar interests or not so similar. The tagline of our podcast.
I'll put up with so much crap from me. Thank you all.
Hey, when we get to those other episodes where I'm the noob, don't even worry about it. I will sit here silent and be like, yeah, sure.
I mean, I've already got jokes in the bag for future episodes.
So you've been practicing your ad lib, have you?
Oh my goodness.
Oh. Another note, and I just thought it was hilarious, the banter between the Peters.
Oh yeah.
Specifically, and what he used to supposed to be, some sort of youth group leader.
Yep.
Love that line.
I don't know if you guys read the comments about how Andrew Garfield's ad-lib scene where he tells the other two Spider-Man that he loves them was ad-libbed.
Oh, really?
And their reactions were real. Like, what? Like,
That's great.
That's awesome.
It makes sense because it's like he was just drowning in emotion from everything he had been to. The other two had like been through some tough stuff, but they were like just so focused on what they had to do in that moment. And like Toby's Peter sitting there like, crap, I have to face Goblin again.
yeah.
Like Sandman's here, I've got to calm him down. And then like just like very different mindsets.
Mm-hmm.
Very different mindsets.
Oh yeah.
And Garfield's Peter is just sitting there like pure emotion.
Yeah. I love you guys.
He's almost drunk on emotion. I love you, man.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. I was gonna say something, and now I can't remember what it
My bad.
was. Don't apologize.
It's my
It was
Canadian
not
showing.
you.
That's the fun of this podcast, is just sitting down and talking about nerdy things.
So yeah, we're coming up on that time. So what was there anything else that we wanted to discuss?
I think that pretty well covers it.
Good. Awesome. All right. So that was yes.
I will actually say, as someone who's been kind of burnt out on Spider-Man, or just the theme of that character coming back over and over.
Never.
I walked into it partly thinking, okay, another shot. Especially with some of the crap that I'm bringing into why I'm burnt out, but
right.
Also just the fact that seeing it for friends, obligation, whatever, in that regard, or for this, and obligation I took gladly, just clarifying. Walking out was a completely different experience, completely different mindset.
Yeah.
Where it was, okay, I get why my friends are excited about this now.
Yeah. Genuine excitedness.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome.
So just want to add that clarification on it.
That's our goal for this show. Our goal for this show is to make the person who is not as big of a fan of something a bigger fan of that thing.
Yeah. I
love it.
Not to burst your bubble, I will not go so far as to say I'm a Spider-Man fan now.
But you walked out with an appreciation.
I walked out with appreciation
and
genuine excitement of where are they taking this?
Yes. I'm happy with that.
Okay.
I will not be, I will not burst your bubble of Marvel, like pushing Marvel on you, but I am glad that this made you happy about Spider-Man. That was our goal.
It worked.
I mean, yeah. I just got chills again. And for Andrew Garfield's sake, I love you guys.
Love you, buddy.
And with that, we will close this episode on Spider-Man. We hope you guys listen in again for our third episode. We already have it recorded, so we're going to be setting that up. But that is us for this episode. We love you guys, and good night.
Ciao.